Now?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, I'm Judy Nathans. I'm co-host and
Robert Winter's here on Cambridge
yeah,
Inside Out.
just a little bit of lag time there trying to get started. But this is our second half, and I'll just start with the score. It is the bottom of the second. Now you guys, maybe if you're watching, know more. It's 2-1 Boston.
There we go. All right.
So
Plenty
go
of game to
Sox.
go.
All right. So we kind of covered some of the big
Talk
issues.
a little bit about the controversy of the affordable housing overlay, and a little bit on Inman.
Yes, and then last week even though there wasn't a city council meeting, there was a very important, informative zero waste meeting on a committee meeting. I guess who would host that? The Health Environment Committee.
Right. So Jan Devereaux is the chair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Was she? I guess so. It seemed like, anyway. And that was on Tuesday, and
So
I attended that because it was not televised. Should have been. It was an excellent presentation.
All right. But it was meant to be kind of an update on where we stand
from the city
on the whole zero waste
process,
which
includes recycling and the organics update. Right. So the city presented. They had a PowerPoint that was presented by John Fitzgerald, who is, I forget his title, but he's
sort of head
of
sanitation. So
exactly.
and it's sort of basically once upon a time recycling and regular rubbish were completely separate divisions.
But now it's like
joined.
Waste, right. So he presented
Waste
and then
management.
Michael Orr presented. So
he's recycling director.
Right, and you actually have their presentation is on your site.
Right.
Plus,
we have it on the one for this particular show, but the thing is that I'll also put it up on the full site shortly.
Right, so that you can find it there, and when the committee report comes out, which should be soon, there were some excellent presentations by Kirsty Pecci, who is from the Conservation Law Foundation, who was and their whole thing, zero waste, is do not landfill it, do not burn it, and basically compost / anaerobic digestion, although that sort of came up as an issue since our program is actually, our stuff is anaerobically digested, not composted per se, but that's getting technical.
Right.
So she recommended, which is, when I was on the committee, we did like trash limits are really work, like pay as you throw, whatever you want to call it. And I know that the Recycling Advisor Committee has been working on that, presented something to Owen O'Riordan, who's the commissioner head, and he and DPW is working on that, but it's going to take a while to roll it in. But that's definitely on the agenda since it's 150 pounds per household, which kind of equals about 5 32-gallon trash barrels. But you see, everyone's using these toters now. They can actually own, and then there's confusion between gallons and pounds, which I didn't like the way they use the language. But
I'm always amazed when I hear figures like 150 pounds per family per week. That just seems like such a lot.
I know, but these 50-gallon toters that a lot of people use can actually hold 125 pounds. So
but I just don't understand how people generate that much waste.
I know, because if you're recycling and now if you're composting, diverting your food scraps, I don't know why you're putting garbage out every week.
Right.
However,
whatever happened to leftovers?
I know, you have to learn how to use everything.
Right.
Just because something looks bad.
Don't cook too much.
And I'm a gleaner. I volunteer with the Boston area gleaners, and they take stuff from the farms that they can't get to for whatever reason, and a lot of the stuff that they won't even take because it might have we all take it, and you just cut it off and you can make things with it. But the other part was on the recycling, and that is anyone that follows the whole recycling industry. In fact, PBS NewsHour focused on Cambridge on 2 sessions, October 4th and October 11th. You can also get that on their website.
Right.
On Cambridge and the whole dilemma with sending our recycling to China, which doesn't want it anymore because it's contaminated. So pay attention. You're going to be getting more reminders from DPW about what really should go in your recycling and what really can't be. And down the line, it might get stricter.
I think a few years back, especially when we went to single stream recycling,
that's when a lot of things.
The big push was toward volume.
Yeah, right.
Get
and
the
people were throwing
up.
in hoses. They were throwing in propane tanks. They were throwing in styrofoam. They were throwing in plastic bags.
Sticks of dynamite.
Yeah.
It's happened, actually.
Bowling balls. I
I'm just
mean,
saying,
I listened to a lot of these webinars.
I went to a materials recovery facility out in Springfield, Mass. one time.
Did you?
And the person who was running it.
Murph, yeah.
Yeah, and the person says, "Oh yeah, we get a lot of things. We got to stick a dynamite through here once."
It's dangerous for workers.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting thing.
I know.
People should. We do have a materials recovery facility in Charlestown.
Yeah, it's Casella. It's
and we
the
do,
Zero Waste. Yeah.
And they do
a very good job. They do. There's one
coming
coming up actually. You should go on the DPW site and.
I mean, if you ever wonder why can't I put plastic bags in, if you go to the facility
and
see it, it'll become abundantly clear why it's a problem.
But that doesn't mean you can't recycle them.
But you just got to do it right.
Right.
Yeah.
But I do want to say the other presenters quickly were a woman, Laura Orlando, who was this expert in environmental health from BU, who actually kind of scared everybody with all about the toxic sludge that's in sewage pellets that come from anaerobic. Anyway, it's out there. And then Amy Perlmutter. Do you remember Amy?
Yeah, sure.
Amy Perlmutter lives in our town. We're very lucky. And she used to direct recycling in San Francisco years ago. But she is a consultant. She's actually the head consultant or head person for the Boston Zero Waste Initiative. And so she spoke on why we're in this dilemma with China. It was a very excellent presentation. And so I'm looking forward to these committee reports because I assume they'll have all of these talks in attachments, yes? Isn't that what committee reports usually do?
They should be there, yeah.
Because it was like a round table.
Yeah, it should all be there.
So because of these great reports and the public comment couldn't have that much, and that was really good, there probably will be another meeting because the counselors didn't get a chance to really have any discussion on this stuff.
Right.
So that's coming up. So
maybe I can make the next one. Because I couldn't make this one.
Yeah, and it's really very worthwhile. And so go to these different things I've said. Why don't we just show this? Because this is what you can look at.
Ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
This is what the presentation was. It's about 20 pages, or 29, says it right there.
Pages, yeah.
And it basically talks about the recycling. You can see it. It's the master plan, curbside compost, and curbside recycling. And a lot of statistics in there, and very worthwhile. And Robert has it on his site, I'm sure.
I'll make it even more available
Great.
as well.
And also the links to the PBS NewsHour.
Yeah,
I gave that to you. Put that on there too.
I'll load that up as well.
Yeah.
It's been interesting, since we've been involved in doing recycling related matters for a good long time.
Yes.
To sort of watch the whole thing evolve over time. One of the things that we used to hear a lot, from Sumner Martinson, who was with the state DEP, was one of our real major.
He's not with them anymore, is he?
I think he's retired now.
Okay.
But Sumner used to say that that he used to make a distinction between recyclers and people who are collectors. Says if you're just putting out a blue bin and you're filling it up with stuff and you're just collecting it and shipping it somewhere, that's not recycling. That's collection. And recycling is when they always put the 3 arrows, right? So you can collect it, but the thing is, if you're not remanufacturing something or making some other useful product at the end, then it's not really being recycled. You got to cycle it around, right?
Well, that's what we were doing theoretically by sending it to China. They were making things out of it.
But the thing is that I remember, 20 plus years ago, the idea was about developing markets for recyclable materials.
Right.
And I know that certainly happened. There were people,
but not enough.
Getting into
the
it,
paper mills
nearly
closed here because we were sending on paper. They wanted it in China because they were sending us all those things that you buy in boxes.
But for a while, actually, American paper mills were actually kind of getting refitted, to take advantage.
Yeah, but they closed. But now they're slowly coming back, and hopefully the manufacturing industry for recycled products is coming back. But as Ben Harvey, who's a big E.L. Harvey and Sons, they're one of the big major recyclers and trash people in the state. He says in this PBS NewsHour that's still going to take a few years to get up and running to bring it back to the United States.
I think that's the way it's always been. The thing is that so you may have something which is economically advantageous, like basically putting recyclable material into empty cargo containers.
Which is why that all came about, because we were sending back empty.
It was very economical.
Exactly.
So the thing is, they shipped Chinese goods to America,
and we were shipping them
and we are a port city, so that works out well too.
Right.
So you basically have empty, rather than ship the containers back empty, you just put in your recyclable materials. But if the markets in China go away,
And then I just read
You got a problem.
India's closing it, Thailand's closing it,
Right.
because their own infrastructures have changed, and they're more aware of pollution. They're more, actually, they do
Yeah.
even a better job, and they're getting rid of their little mom and pop operations, which were not
Right.
healthy, and they're building their own structures. So they don't want our garbage, literally.
So if you're
you know?
if you're some some hotshot coming out of MIT and you want to be an entrepreneur,
Make something
don't
out of that
just
stuff.
make video games, okay?
Right, yeah.
Take that old brain and
Well,
go and put
they're
it.
due. I love
No,
MIT.
there are
Spoiler alert! Have you heard of Spoiler Alert? That came out of MIT, and they work with supermarkets and
Right.
big producers of food, and they connect people right away to get so that
I
stuff
know,
gets
I
out.
know. No,
and
listen,
then the
so my
supermarkets pay for it, and it's great.
My students are MIT students, right?
Yeah,
so
no,
it's good for
they've
them.
got the brains.
But the thing
and
is
they've
that
got
right
the-
now
yeah.
it's like telegraph,
Yeah.
SOS, we need you,
I
we
know,
need you,
I know.
we need people, both, young recent graduates from schools, but people in the industry basically to start step it up and to create good, sustainable markets for
I mean, if we can make
materials.
guns out of 3D printers, I think we should be able to.
I think we could do
something.
this, right? We can make goods out of broken
Yes.
glass and steel and
See, that's the
aluminum
problem.
and
Broken.
whatever.
See, we had a glass place, and then it closed in
Yeah.
Franklin. And I've heard of maybe something, and
Milford,
that's a
yeah.
problem because that glass breaks down in those single streams, and
Yeah, when we
you
were
know,
first doing things,
yeah.
even as a volunteer
Oh
program.
my God, you
the-
separated. Oh, we had to separate
Oh,
green
oh,
and brown
I
and
had to take
off the
metal
little
off
metal
of these
things. Yeah.
But because it was all about reducing contamination.
That's right.
Because the recyclable
we had
markets.
the right idea.
So I think it was American Can Company or
Yeah.
their successor was in Milford, Mass. So we'd load up
Oh,
a truck of glass product,
okay.
and you had to break it up into
That's
amber,
interesting because that's where that started.
emerald,
I
and
thought.
flint,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is in the real world is
Yeah.
called brown, green, and,
Yeah.
and clear. And the thing is, they would actually remanufacture that into new bottles.
And
But the thing is as those plants disappeared,
Well, no, something did start in Franklin, which makes it interesting because
Yeah.
that's near Milford.
right? So there was some
maybe-
efforts that were.
But then it was recently closed, so
Right.
it.
But the thing is
Yeah.
that it was unfortunately true that sometimes the best available marketplace for glass was to crush it up, use it
For
as
aggregate,
aggregate,
right,
so you
for
could use it
roads,
as
yeah.
in roads. I'm pretty good with that, but if
Yeah,
you're using it just
you
to
need-
basically bed drainage pipes at landfills, which is what was sometimes happening,
Yeah, and then
it might
that's
be
a whole other
recycling
thing,
because
yeah.
they needed gravel anyway.
Right.
But it's not a real feel-good thing to
No.
think that you're carefully washing those bottles so they can be used basically
I mean,
to
in
support
Europe, I
pipes
don't
at
know if they still
landfills.
do it. They're recycling the whole wine bottle, and I think California there might be
Yeah.
some things about that. I don't know why we can't do that. Why are we breaking a wine bottle?
I know.
It's
So
made
there
to
are-
last forever.
There are better ways to do this, folks.
We do have the
and-
bottle bill for beer
Yeah.
bottles, but now everything's coming in cans.
Yeah.
They say so.
So I think it's time for a kind of a
Yes,
second wave of
revolution.
recycling
Yeah,
revival.
and manufacturing because
So
the recycling does provide jobs.
Right. So
Mr. Trump.
right.
I'm not calling him president.
I think a bit of a campaign is being initiated called Recycle It. Is it called Recycle It Right?
Recycle it right is
So in other
right,
words,
it's not-
don't just throw it in the bin, but do it
think
right.
about what
You
you're
know,
doing.
Think
Yeah,
about it.
no styrofoam right now, and it gets a little. I don't want to say things now that haven't
Right.
been said,
So
but
there
there's
may
certain
be
things
some
that we're not.
materials that
Yeah,
may
waxy
not
things
be
you got to be
so
careful
welcome
of.
in the future because it's
Yeah.
important not
Yeah.
just to say I'm
Right.
righteous, I recycle, but
No,
to say
the proper
I'm
recycling.
doing it right because this stuff is
Yeah.
of enough quality that some use can be made of
But
it. down
even
the
more
road.
important, do you really need to buy that extra thing? That's
Well,
the
that's,
thing,
that's
you know.
that's the
Yeah.
bottom line is
And,
that if you can reduce first,
right.
then recycle.
So
later.
buy not things in number ones and
Right.
twos. That's the most desirable plastics, like your milk jugs and your detergents come in that. There's some question about the number sixes and sevens, which I don't know. I mean, at least if they're clear, it's okay. The black ones they don't know about, but
Right.
we'll keep you informed down the line. But just be
Right.
careful of what you throw out, and just
Right.
we've all got to participate in this because
Yeah.
our costs as they pointed out, I won't go into it right now, but we were getting paid for recycling, and then we're paying $30 a ton. We're now paying
Right.
$60 a ton
So
to
in other
recycle,
words, this
and
is-
$99 a ton
So-
to dispose of trash. It's getting too close.
So I'll
Yeah.
just point out something
Yeah.
that was true from the very beginning. It was never not true,
Yeah.
which was that this is not just about being righteous from an
It's
environmental
not,
point of
don't
view.
be
It's
inspirational
also
and
an
aspirational. Right.
economic
It's
question,
economic question.
right? So the thing is you got to
Yeah.
do things right,
Right.
so that in fact,
Yeah.
you actually
just
can
be smart when you
just
buy,
be smart.
And the cardboard, that is an ultimately wonderful item to recycle. So I know you're buying a lot out there. I buy stuff, but the cardboard is desired
Right.
because it is used a lot, and that's good.
Right. So anyway, so I'm glad they had the hearing,
Yes,
and
yes.
and I hope
Very
that
well attended.
we'll see.
Oh, did I tell you there were like almost 40 people there? Which
Really?
is at
That's
1
pretty
o'clock
good.
in the afternoon. Yeah,
Wow.
it was very well attended. So people
Glad to
are
hear it.
definitely paying
Yeah.
attention.
So anyway, so that was one
Yeah.
thing here.
Yeah.
Something. This is just sort of a minor point, but I think I'd like to.
Minor. Something's mine.
Oh,
Oh,
I've got a list of many
is
things
this,
here.
is this to do with smoking?
Nah. Oh
No,
well.
the cannabis? No.
Well, a little bit on it, but it's
Okay.
related to cannabis, but it's actually two different issues. Okay?
All right.
So tonight there's actually I'm on a Central Square Advisory Committee.
Oh, right.
Which, by the way, is having another meeting. I think
That's tomorrow. Yeah.
Talking about again
Placemaking.
placemaking in Central Square. Public health is the principal focus.
It's at the
But
annex,
but
right?
we had a meeting not so long ago
Uh-huh.
where the people from Revolutionary Clinics who were opening up a medical marijuana dispensary.
I know, right by
in the old
Blockbuster.
the old
I know.
Blockbuster
I
building.
went by there. I said, "Ooh."
Right. Now the thing is that I'd much prefer a shoe store, but the thing is it's legal, and so it's coming, right? And their ultimate intention is to when the state law changes, to have something like a cannabis cafe there.
What?
Yeah. So their long-term
Oh.
picture is not
Which I guess
just as
they
a
do need a
dispensary.
cafe. It's true, because with all the rules, you really can't smoke
That's right,
anywhere.
that's
Not
right.
even in your apartment if you rent, probably.
One thing that was
Yeah.
clear to me, even when the medical marijuana dispensaries were being legalized and permitted, is that this was always sort of a stepping stone toward the future, which would
Right.
be recreational marijuana and maybe even things like cannabis cafes, which they do have in
They have
other
them in other
places, like
places.
in I think
Well,
Denver
Europe
and
has a lot,
Colorado.
right? Yeah.
Right? So unless the voters rise up and change this is going to happen. So, but here's the dilemma, and this we talked about at the Central Square Advisory Committee. Current state law basically says that if you're going to run a dispensary, you have to kind of make it look almost like an old speakeasy, meaning
So
you
you don't
can't
really
you
look
can't
into
look
it.
in, you can't
Okay.
see what's going on or whatever. Now, I think that's sort of a dishonest law because if it's there, it's there. Just let's
I
be.
mean, liquor stores, they don't make.
No, you
do
don't have to
that.
hide the bottles in the window,
Which
right?
I wish they would.
Right? But the thing is so what's proposed here at the Blockbuster one is, okay, so you open up your dispensary and eventually your cafe, but under current state law, you have to obscure things in the window. So what are you going to do? Let's see, people say, oh, let's put in art displays in the window. When I think of that, I think, all right, now that's retail death. To me, like there used to be in by the Crest Diagnostics building before they tore it down to build Mass and Main, they had images of retail in the window.
Oh, where the old bot.
Yeah, rather than retail that used to be there. So whenever you take away actual retail and you replace it with symbolism, it doesn't work for me. But all right, so they will probably in front of the planning board tonight. They will show plans where they say, oh, we're going to allow the community to put in kid art here and this and that and that. And I said, listen, we can do a lot better than that. And I will relate this also to something that was part of the Central Square Restoration petition where they put in some restrictions on so-called formula businesses. Now, formula businesses, like, for example, Amazon opened up a storefront
Right.
in Central Square.
And they were given some grief about their
Definitely
swish
some
or
grief,
something.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the thing is, their interpretation of what regulating a formula business was like changing a logo, which I think is nonsense.
Yeah.
What I would love to see is actual retail. So my suggestion, shoot me if you want here, but the thing is that you've got whole street frontage on Massachusetts Avenue, let's
Right.
say. Why don't you simply allow what I would go to call the shallow retail frontage, almost like an arcade? So if somebody wanted to, so I like hot dogs, okay? Somebody wants to run a 5-foot deep hot dog stand, run out of a
within the
storefront.
space of that they've been allocated, though? Why would they give up that
Listen,
space?
because
Okay.
they've got
Yeah.
acres of space to work with.
Do they?
Yes, for the particular one where Revolutionary Clinics is coming in,
Yeah.
they've got incredible amounts of
But
space.
I don't know what they need in their back rooms, though.
They don't need
It's
they don't need it
medical.
all.
They probably need
They're already
refrigeration
talking
and
about
everything,
putting in sort
no?
of a buffer and then just sort of giving away the front space anyway.
Oh, they are
But
talking
only
about
because
that.
state law requires it. So I said, let's do it better.
Like little
Like,
pop-ups.
so don't put
How about a food truck? Or food, whatever,
to
not a
some of
truck,
it.
but a...
So you have a little
hot
over the
dog
counter,
stand.
a hot dog stand, a newsstand. I suggested something simple as like even a place like where you can fill up your water bottle with water, right? There's lots of little things that you could do. You know, a guy I
Who
joke.
would pay for that?
Well, basically, it would just be, included in the, you could get a little income coming in off of that, but it basically just to create active retail frontages. And I would hope that when planning board and other city boards are reviewing plans for so-called formula businesses, they would consider asking somebody to say, listen, rather than just have blank plate glass windows at a bank, why don't you just sort of, put some of the operations behind it and actually just have some more active frontages.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds good, but I would think maybe they then don't want that little kid going into that place to get a hot dog because it's too
But
close
they're not
to
going
the...
into the place. They're going,
So
the
it's really
transactions
separate,
right
okay.
out at the sidewalk level. The thing is, there are people who sell, I was a woman who used to sew, yarn things and would sell like hats and scarves and little trinkets and things up by the old Citizens Bank. Well, not the old Citizens Bank, the Citizens Bank.
When was that?
Actually, it's probably still there in the warm weather.
Does she have a permit? What do you mean? You mean
Yeah,
in the
no.
bank itself?
No, just out in the sidewalk in front.
Yeah,
So
but
why
must have
not?
had a permit.
No, I don't know.
Well, to
Maybe
sell things, I think you need a
I
permit.
think it may not even be legal, but so make it legal.
Yeah.
And then
Then
basically
you're
just
a
recess,
a
just set
peddler,
the
whatever you call
set
it,
the
peddler's
window
license.
back like 3 feet deep, and basically say if you want to sell scarves or hats here or eyeglasses or sunglasses.
Okay, but I'm still confused. Are you
Use the
inside
space.
or outside?
Be outside.
A hot dog stand outside in the winter?
Well, the thing is, you say you have a roll-up
So
window.
you're basically talking about outside space.
Listen, I'm not wedded to the idea exactly this
Okay.
way. I'm just trying to suggest a
All right.
notion here.
Okay.
This is the idea that rather than put in sort of representations of what should be happening in a square, like pictures of commerce.
Oh, right. Do
Put in
something
commerce.
real. Put in commerce.
Put in something
right.
real.
Yeah. No, I agree. Even if it isn't all the time, it couldn't be
Right.
like. But you could,
Oh, yeah,
depending on the season, you could have.
you can
different
close
things.
close the window. Just have a window
Yeah.
that opens up, and
I
somebody
like that
deals
idea.
things.
Good luck on that.
So I'm-
though. I don't know.
Listen, placemaking in Central Square.
Okay.
I mean, that's what it's all
Well,
about.
you're going to that meeting,
No,
right?
and you think I'm not going to be
I
saying this
know.
tomorrow? Yeah, absolutely. I
Is
will.
that at night? I think it's.
I think
looked
it's
at
a
that.
6
It's
o'clock
6
meeting tomorrow night up at City Hall
Up at
Annex. Yeah.
3:44.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's some creative things we can
Yeah.
do. I originally came out of New York City, and I remember we'd go down to Canal Street, and you could buy blue jeans over the counter right
but
at the
that's the old
sidewalk level.
garment district.
Yeah, but the thing
Yeah.
is people would put things out on the
know.
sidewalk. It was commerce, and more
Well,
commerce.
there's Haymarket is still like that.
Yeah, I know. So, so there you go. Let's do Haymarket in Central Square, right in front of the Revolutionary Clinic,
I
right?
know. I was in Harvard Square last night. I was thinking, we've got juice bars and we've got, well, not there, but a lot of the stores now are very kind of more higher, upper income stuff.
This is, that's right. That's why.
I have not been to a juice bar.
So-
I won't go in one.
So let's when I say hot dog stand,
I love
speaking
hot dogs.
metaphorically,
There's no
of
good. You know
course.
who isn't a bad hot dog is Maine Burgers. But other than that, oh wait, not
Sullivan's?
sorry, no, yeah, that's not right here.
No, it's not right here.
Roxy's actually, which is down the street from here, does
Yeah.
have a nice hot dog.
Right. Okay, I've actually had a hot dog there.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I will
Right.
give a shout to them.
So anyway,
And Whole Heart Provisions, which is also owned by them, is right
Right.
next door, and they're opening another one. I heard, maybe in Porter. I don't know.
yeah. Anyway, there's some good ideas that can be had here to really kind of recreate Central Square and other places too, in a way that I think is a little more in sync with what it once was.
Yeah.
it's.
I know, we used to have a Corcoran's. We used to have them at Crory's or something.
I know,
We used to
it's
have
actually one of
fun.
the sore spots I have whenever
Yeah.
we have our Central Square meetings.
Yeah.
Which is that people always talk about preserving the funk, and I say, don't
Yeah.
preserve the damn funk. Bring back family-centric
Yeah. Well,
attractions.
Target, I guess, is an attempt. It's
It's
better
an
than
attempt.
nothing, because
It's
at
better
least
than
you can go
nothing.
in there. You
Yeah.
could actually get a sewing
Well,
thing,
we
I
can
think,
do
but-
so much better.
I know.
And we got
Yeah.
our beautiful murals are starting to go up now.
Yes, the one, there's,
you
now,
know?
where's the, I know we showed the one 2 weeks ago.
It's up on Morris Nagar's
Right,
building.
now what's the next one going up? It's right in this
there's-
Lafayette Square near
There's
here?
one actually on
Yeah.
Wilg, which is a women's independence living group, which is a
Okay,
MIT.
so maybe by next
connected
week you'll
one.
have a photo of that?
Yeah, we will,
Okay.
sure. I think it was union. I think it was like local. I forget which local, but it was unionized labor actually came in and did us all a tremendous service for nothing. They
Yeah.
came out and they prepped all the surfaces
Really?
on the Green Street garage and over on the side of where the
That was
Blockbuster
nice.
building is. And they did it gratis, and they deserve a lot of credit for it
Good.
because they did us. That's actually not it's not a gimme. Making that surface so that it'll take a mural that's actually
Right.
going to last.
Yeah, it
right.
takes, it's probably special kind
Right,
of
the-
paint and everything, right?
Actually, the mural that was on the Pearl Street side of the Green Street garage was peeling right from the beginning. I mean, the
Right.
thing is, it was badly
So was that
applied.
because of the paint that was used, or what?
There
all
is
of the above,
some
probably,
issues
yeah.
about applying things on brick surfaces
Sure.
or concrete surfaces
And
which
maybe,
breathe.
and
or-
maybe since then they've developed certain things
Right.
for the.
Right, so I think the people who are behind this, Michael Mona's team, the Central Square Business Association and others, Cambridge Arts Council,
Yep.
and the artists, of course, they're really trying to do this right.
And they still need some money for the. I
they
guess it's
still
a
need some
separate. I guess
money.
if you go to the Central
Yeah.
Square Business
So
Association,
so if you got
Yeah.
a few bucks,
I'd
go
give it
take a
little
look
money
what's on
for the
Morris's
mural
building,
project.
and you
Yeah.
might actually realize it's a worthwhile
and
investment.
it's local.
Yeah, it's definitely local. So the thing is let's not worry so much about the funk. Let's bring
Yeah.
back the charm.
Right.
Let's bring back the charm
Right.
of Central Square.
Yes. So
you
there's
know?
lots of meetings coming up and stuff, and you have it all on your website. Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's the roundtable on Monday night, which is televised. There's no public comment.
Yeah, I forget. I
what
think it's
else?
actually there's an Inman Square meeting on
Oh.
October 24th, and there's
Oh,
a
that's
city
about
council.
design. Yeah.
There's one actually on the
Yeah.
Harvard Square kiosk.
Oh, right,
With
that's a-
neighborhood
that's a
long-term
committee
planning.
meeting.
It's a committee meeting
Is
on
that this week?
next Tuesday,
Or next-
October 23rd. Right.
Okay.
So, anyway, it's plenty to do. So.